Have you ever wondered to think about something fascinating? Two people can be born in the same country, attend the same school, sit in neighboring wallets, listen to the same teachers, and even start working at the same job. However, a few years later, their lives may be so distinct that they seem to have lived in parallel realities. One of them becomes prosperous, safe about the future, and with freedom to choose how and where to live. The other count each penny. It depends on loans, lives in fear of tomorrow, and blames the destination for your situation. Why does this happen? After all, the initial conditions were the same city, same school, similar families, similar opportunities. But the results are radically opposite. Many people attribute this to luck. One was lucky, the other no. Others believe the difference is in the connections. Filano had contacts, rich parents, or knew the right people. There are still those who face as a question of destiny. God wanted it that way. But the truth is different. The difference is not in the amount of money you have at the beginning or the relationships you have. What really separates one trajectory from the other is the mindset. And here is the most interesting. I'm not talking like a theorist who reads self-help books. I speak as someone who lived both sides of this coin. I am Jewish and grew up in a family where money has always been scarce. There were no leftovers at home, and sometimes it was even essential. I remember my mother keeping each coin to buy my winter shoes. My father said, "Son, hold on to the job. Even if it is difficult, even if they pay little, work is stability." At the time, I believed this was the right way. But over time, I understood that this kind of thinking is precisely what keeps people in poverty. And here is the paradox. The Jewish tradition, our ancestral wisdom, has always taught the opposite. Our books do not talk about how to survive, but about how to think more broadly, how to see beyond today. This is the great difference between the mindset of poverty and the mindset of prosperity. What does someone with limited mindset do? It lives only the present. Your concern is, I need to get to the next salary. I need not be fired. I need the price of bread not to rise. Who thinks how the prosperous acts otherwise? Your question is, how can I use today to build a better tomorrow? How to invest my time and my money to reap results in the future? The essence of the question is there. The difference between poverty and wealth does not begin in the bank account, but in the mind. I want you to pay attention to this, because if you are reading this text now, it is because you are looking for answers. Maybe work without stopping, and yet the money is not enough. Maybe you feel that life goes on and you have no freedom or security. Or, even with a good income, you realize that you are stuck in an undead, where to stop for a single day. You can collapse everything. Know that it all starts with a mindset, no matter how much you earn, where you were born, or what your current circumstances are. It all depends on how you see money, work, and life. It was not from one hour to another that I came to this conclusion. There was a time when, like many, I was running out at work. I struggled, and yet I didn't see results, until I heard a simple phrase that has changed my perspective. Poverty is a mental state. Wealth is the habit of thinking differently. This idea revolutionized my way of seeing things, because I realized that, to transform my life, I didn't have to wait for a miracle, look for a godfather, or depend on the government. All I needed was to change my mindset, and it was from there that it all started to change. Today I want to share with you three fundamental differences between the mentality of scarcity and the mindset of abundance. It's not just words and motivation, but a practical philosophy that has been helping Jews for centuries to survive, build business, and multiply their prosperity, even in the most difficult times. I will tell you what was tested and proven for generations. If you follow until the end, you will not only be inspired, by clearer understanding of what you need to change now, and most importantly, you will see that small changes in the way of thinking can generate major transformations in life. Let's get down to business. What are the differences between the mindset of poverty and mentally of wealth? I will present you with three principles that were decisive to me, and each of them I experienced and practiced. First difference: those who have limited mentality think of spending. Those who have a prosperous mindset think of opportunities. When a person with a scarcity mentality receives money, his first question is, what can I buy? Already who thinks how the rich asks, how can I make this money grow? I saw this as a child. A friend from my neighborhood, upon receiving your allowance, ran to buy sweets, toys, or music ribbons. I, on the other hand, kept, not out of greed, but because my father taught me, money is like a seed. If you eat it today, tomorrow you will have nothing, but if you plant it, you will bear fruit. In youth, when I made my first serious money, I also wanted to spend, buying beautiful clothes, a cell phone, feeling successful. But my father interrupted me. Son, if you want to spend, invest first. Make your money work for you, like a servant. May he bring more resources, more possibilities, and only then enjoy the fruits. not seeds. I heard it. Instead of spending everything on superfluous, I applied it to a small business. It was scary because I didn't know if it would work out. But this decision marked the turning point in my life. This is the difference. Whoever lives in scarcity spends to have immediate pleasure. Those seeking prosperity invest to gain freedom in the future. Second difference. Who has limited mentality lives only the present. Those who have a prosperous mindset build the future. We live in an era of instant gratification, real-time news, food delivered in minutes, credit to buy what you can't pay yet. But there is a saying in the Talmud that says, the sage sees the consequences. That is, the truly intelligent person does not only live the moment, she evaluates where each decision will take her. Anyone who thinks as Per says, I need to survive by the end of the month, reach the next salary. Who thinks as Rich asks, what will be in my life in 5 or 10 years? How can I do to make each year better than the previous one? I remember that at the beginning of my career, many colleagues spent everything they earned and sometimes even more, recording on loans just to seem successful. I lived more modestly. There were no expensive things, but I had one goal, save to invest. A few years later, the result was clear. They were indebted, and it had tranquility. As they accumulated debt, I accumulated my first capital and, most importantly, confidence in myself. This is the fundamental difference. The poor life today. The rich man builds tomorrow. Third difference. The poor fear losing. The rich learns from the mistakes. I don't know a single rich man who has never been wrong, but I know hundreds of poor people who have never tried anything for fear of failing. The poor think, what if it doesn't work? What if I lose money? What if they ridicule me? And so remain stopped in his comfort zone, which is actually the poverty zone. The rich man thinks differently. If I make a mistake, I will learn what not to do. If I lose, I will buy experience. If I fall, I will get up and move on. I made a mistake myself many times. I lost money in poorly planned investments. I trusted the wrong people, took a fake steps. But over time, I understood. Every mistake is not a defeat. It is an investment in wisdom. There is a Jewish wisdom that says, if you fall, take something from the floor, get up and go on. That's exactly how I did it. And here is the crucial point. The purview the air is the end, the rich, like the beginning of a new path. What to do now? You may be listening to this and thinking, all very beautiful, but where to start? I will take you practical steps. 1. Stop spending everything you get. Before you buy pleasures, set aside a part even if it is little. Make this money work for you, whether in knowledge books, courses, or in investments. Small values, with time and discipline, become large. 2. Have a plan of 5 years. Write down, who do you want to be in 5 years? What life do you want to have? Without a clear direction, you will be like a hamster on the wheel, running without leaving the place. 3. Leave the fear aside and take the first step. It doesn't have to be a big project. It can be a small economy, a course, a test. Error is not the problem. The problem is not trying. What really scares is not failing, is never having the courage to start. Mental change. My personal balance. When I started to think so, my life became. I stopped investing time in my development. I stopped clinging to crumbs and started planning in decades, not in months. I stopped mourning myself by the losses, because each of them taught me something. And do you know what's most surprising? This way of thinking works for anyone, no matter where you were born, how much you have in your pocket today. What matters is how you think. There is the essence of Jewish wisdom. Wealth is not what you have, but how you see the world. If you begin to change your mindset today, tomorrow your life will begin to turn alone. Summarizing the 3 key differences, let's recap the essentials so that it is recorded. 1. The poor thinks of expenses, the rich in opportunities. If you spend everything you enter, you will never get out of the scarcity cycle. But if you face money like a seed, something to be planted to harvest fruits, you will see your reality change. 2. The poor live the present. The rich man builds the future. If your concern is just coming to the next salary, you will always be running after your life. But if you are planning, anticipating consequences, and acting on purpose, you will command your destination. 3. The poor fear losing. The rich extracts lessons from errors. If fear paralyzes him, he is already defeated. But if you act, even risking stumbling, it will grow inevitably. A broader perspective. True wealth. Jewish tradition has always emphasized a man's greatest capital is his mind. Money is lost. Houses get lost. Jobs get lost. But if you have the right mindset, you can always start over and stronger. I saw people lose everything for crises, for their own mistakes. Those with their heads in place rose faster than they fell. Already those who clung to the past, who feared risking or sympathized, were left behind. The difference is not in the bank balance, but the way you see life. A parable to reflect. A disciple asked a rabbi, Master, why are some always luck with money while others remain poor? The rabbi replied, It's like the rain. It falls into the field of the poor and the rich. But the poor did not prepare the earth, did not sow, and when the rain passed, nothing grew. Already the rich are Abba, planted. For him, the rain was a blessing. This is life. Opportunities come to everyone, but only reach who is prepared, who thinks on and works in themselves. Your moment is now. If you have gotten here, it is because something within you already wants to change. You have realized that you can't continue as before. So don't wait. No tomorrow, not on Monday, not in the new year. Today. What can you do right now? 1. Write down a goal that really matters to you. 2. Ask yourself, what decision can I make today to be closer to this goal in 5 years? 3. Take a small step, tiny but real. Remember, success does not come to those who wait, but for those who act. To finish, an invitation. If this philosophy resonated with you, if the practical wisdom I shared makes sense, don't let this idea get lost. Subscribe to the channel not by numbers, but because I know that a single insight at the right time can change a life. Perhaps the next video is exactly the push you needed. I promise. We'll talk about simple but deep things: money, mindset, habits, inner strength, all that has been keeping my people up, regardless of battles for centuries. Knowledge is the inheritance that no one can take from you. Like if this content was useful. And in the comments, tell me which of the 3 differences between the poor and the rich mentality most touched. A question for you to take: what will you do today so that tomorrow your mind works like that of a rich person?